Hello, wanted to start this with showing you some of the damage that was caused by Storm Isaias that occurred on Tuesday. The rose campion got knocked over. The zinnias are sort of, bent over almost down to the ground. Yeah, this bed pretty much that's all the damage this one took. I do have to do a voiceover on this because everyone's generators were running and it was so loud. It was like everyone running a lawnmower. And I will be showing you at the end what everything looks like after a few days. And here is the bed that had the most damage. This is where my dahlias are, and this one was pretty toppled over. The zinnias here are also kind of bent over from the wind damage. A lot of the cosmos are doing okay, but the sunflower really got knocked about and a lot of the stems broke off. So I'll show you what that looks like now after the storm. This one was very, very heavy. I had put a peony cage on it, but I think there's a lot of damage in the center that I'll have to address. But these shorter dahlias seem to have fared pretty well. Here, these gladiolas got really knocked down, and I'll show you how I staked them back up. On the other side, I had already staked these other gladiolas, so they actually did fine in the storm. They, need a little bit more staking. My mom's got blown off to the side. And then the crepe myrtles, oh, those poor crepe myrtles lost all the beautiful blooms. So, yeah, sadly, those are pretty much gone. They'll probably bloom a little bit more. But everything else in this bed really kind of did really well through the storm. Nothing really damaged, just all the petals from the crepe myrtle. So here is the bed that had sustained the most damage from Storm Isaias. It's been 5 days since we had the storm. Everything rebounded very nicely. We lost electricity, cable, internet, everything for 4 days. So I haven't been able to get out here, and it's been really hot. But now I'm able to give you a tour of how everything's doing. I staked up the dahlias and they look nice and healthy. 2 buds forming on this one here. The zinnias are all in bloom, lots of buds forming. So these rebounded very nicely once they got all staked up. We've got this little dahlia that put a flower out and has a few buds, I believe, on the plant. So this one's looking really cute. I don't know if it was supposed to be this tiny, but very adorable. Vinca's all starting to put on some growth. These dahlias are doing well, and hopefully we'll start seeing some buds here for some late August blooms, I presume. And then we've got the sunflowers, which really took quite a bit of damage and lost a lot of stems. I did cut those off and put them in a vase, and those are looking really pretty in the vase, but the plants themselves just took such a beating. The main stalk really is what got damaged, and I think that's sort of making the plant look lopsided. So I'm debating whether or not I keep them. Cosmos, they are doing well. They didn't get too damaged, so they're putting on a lot of buds and a few blooms are showing up. They're very small flowers, very pretty. So looking forward to seeing some more of them bloom. The hollyhock, all the leaves look very lovely and rebounded. This is another dahlia here, and it's looking good. I apologize for some of the background noise. I do live in a busy street. I wanted to show you here also, this is one of the seedlings that got chomped on, and it sort of rebounded too, and just sort of put out more stems and more leaves and starting to put on another flower, so might get some color there. This dahlia here unfortunately did take quite a bit of damage, and so I did cut it back and try to restake it a little bit. So not really sure if this one looks like it's struggling. You see the leaves are all curling, so that's not a good sign at all, but we'll see what happens if it makes it, or if I just need to take that one out. These dahlias here, the shorter ones, all seem to be doing a lot better, and I think it'll start forming buds soon. So maybe, again, some late August. So this bed here, the hydrangea is doing perfect. Did not get any damage from the storm. The foxglove, same thing, doing very well. I did pull in all the fairy garden items just because we were getting so much wind and rain that I didn't want anything to get damaged or washed away. And then everything over here seems to be faring very nicely, except for, once again, the sunflowers, which really took quite a bit of damage. That one sunflower there, I have to go get that and put that in my vase. But yeah, everything else looks fairly good. This grass at the end, it's starting to put some stalks up, so I assume that the flowering heads will come out in maybe a couple weeks. So yep, this one's doing well. Over on this bed, the crepe myrtles did lose a lot of their flowers, so unfortunately it got really blown, and a few branches fell. Zucchini plant, this one actually is looking pretty good. I'm quite happy, and I did put a little bit of a cage around it. I did lose one of the potted ones, and that one looks pretty much gone too. That one is still holding up. Half of it did break away in the storm, so I pulled that out. I put that potted plant under the crepe myrtle. We'll see if it rebounds. The vincas here doing very nicely, all really filling in the way I really wanted it to fill in. I would have maybe liked to intersperse the white ones a little bit more, but maybe next year I'll work on sort of making it a little bit more even distribution of the different colors. The rose campion, this one, which I had hacked back really a lot, is starting to rebloom, so I was very happy with that. This one is still blooming. I had cut just a few stems off. This one in the middle is still struggling. I don't know quite what's wrong with it, or if maybe that is okay and it'll bloom next year. But I did also cut back a lot of the Veronica, and left a few that were blooming, but it really needed to be cut back. And as someone had suggested in the comments, probably needs some dividing, so we'll take care of that as well. So the mums are doing okay. I just put them back in the pots and placed them back in. I think they're all right. And thank you for the comment about how to trim these back so that I can have nice blooms in the fall. So I'll take care of that if they make it through the winter. Then we've got the Millennium Alliums, which are all in bloom, looking absolutely gorgeous. And these are bee magnets. And it is evening, and I still have bees all over it. Yeah, this is a plant that they just absolutely love. Then we've got the hydrangea back here, which is doing very well, and the blooms are changing colors, looking absolutely beautiful though. I love seeing them changing colors, but looking very healthy. Then we've got the gladiolas, which these didn't take on too much damage. I did lose one at the end, but other than that, the rest were staked already, so they were okay. My lilies, this is before the storm, they all got eaten up. The leaves are pretty much gone. And so yeah, something is eating this. I did find a lily beetle on one of the plants, which I did get rid of, but I don't know necessarily if it's just one lily beetle that did that. I have looked and haven't seen any more. And over here, I think this is the only lily that did not get eaten. All of them are just completely gone. This gladiolus, these I did stake up. I used some tree branches. Our river birch throws off lots of branches, and it did during the storm. So I used those to create some stakes, and I did have some beautiful flowering stems here, and I'll put up a little clip of the blooms because they were looking absolutely gorgeous. But it seems that perhaps whatever's eating the lily is eating also the flowers. They're all munched on, even though they're perfectly standing up straight. So I don't know, earwigs, or I also have Japanese beetles on the property that I've seen. So could it be that? I don't know if anybody can tell me maybe what you think would eat the gladiolus. Would it be the June bugs, the Japanese beetles, earwigs, which I haven't seen any, so I'm not sure if that's what it is. And then the only other one was a lily beetle, but I didn't think those would eat the gladiolus. So yeah, if anybody can maybe give some suggestions, I'd appreciate it. But I think this year it's a little late to maybe address that situation. You know, it's kind of hard to get the right things to use for the different pests this year, and I don't want to use really like strong chemicals or things that'll kill the honeybees, so I do want to be very careful about that. But otherwise, everything's looking fairly well here. So this bed had the least amount of damage. Really, the only damage was to the zinnias, where they were blown to the ground, but I staked them up and they are doing very well. Already setting a bud there. I think there would be there's a bud starting to form possibly there. So all looking strong and healthy. So these will bring some nice color to the bed. I am seeing buds actually forming. I love that. Then the Salvia Marcus, this one, you know, I had to cut it all the way back, so now we've got all leaves on it, so that flushed out really beautifully. And everything else, you know, has a few flowers on it, and the dianthus still keeps pushing out blooms, and the rose campion as well. Just have to deadhead a few branches off, but I think it'll continue to bloom. The echinacea is doing well. I did trim off a bunch of the blooms that, you know, the petals had been all eaten off, so that maybe we can get a few new flowers. Hopefully they'll do better without being eaten up. And then the lily turf is actually putting out some more bloom stalks, which I like it. It's very, very pretty. The Rebecca is doing good and put out 3 new blooms. Not really seeing other, oh, there's another little one over here, I think. So yeah, it's doing okay. And another lily turf there, and another echinacea also doing very nice and trimmed back a little bit. We've got all the other zinnia seedlings over here also holding up well, a little smaller than the other side of the bed, but still doing very nice. And then the 3 daisies, which all seem to be growing in beautifully. I had cut these down to the ground, so very happy with how well they're rebounding here. And matter of fact, there's one little bud there. Don't know if it'll actually flower, but it's looking good. And then the yarrow, I did end up trimming all of this back. It had a lot of spent blooms, but I did see lots of buds pushing up from the bottom, and I wanted to give those a chance to grow in and flower, and get a really nice fresh set of blooms, hopefully for the fall. This plant is struggling a little bit, so I am wondering if it's getting a little too much water. It is, this bed goes downhill, so you know, the water obviously will travel down, and yeah, so everything down here gets a little too much water maybe. The calendulas here are doing well. They're starting to put on new buds. I did deadhead these, and hoping that we'll get some nice blooms again. The hyssop doing very nice and just really holding up beautifully. I do like this plant, but I think I'll have to move it next year to a better spot. Just really love that one. Coreopsis, still not putting out any flowers, or the flowers are just getting eaten up. I do think it is insect damage. The lavender is pushing out some new flowers, so very happy to see a second bloom. These 3 in the front are ones that I grew from seed during winter sowing. So very happy to see that those are filling in. And next year I'll have, if they survive the winter, some plants. With the grass, I'm so excited that I am starting to see those little seed heads come up, those little plumes. That's the part that I love about this grass. So I'm looking forward to them growing up and pushing out. I hope I only see it on one side of the grass, so I do hope I see more of them later. And yeah, zinnias again doing well. The Gara looking a little tired, but I don't think I need to do anything to it, so I'm just going to leave that one alone. Otherwise, the bed's doing well. A few yellow flowers coming out from the St. John's wort as well, so even that is starting to push out a few new blooms. Looking very, very nice, and looking forward to seeing the zinnia color. So this bed did not take any damage, and everything is looking beautiful and healthy. Nothing really to report on this bed other than everything looking great, and the hydrangea keeps sort of turning colors, but it's just looking absolutely beautiful still. So very happy with this, how this is all looking. Again, no damage really on this bed, so nothing to report here, and kind of looking generally the same as it has before. These got a little burnt, but otherwise doing okay. Just got a little crispy here. We're going to have to move this. It is in an area that just gets a little too much sun. So that's it for this tour. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you the next time. Bye.